À Monaco, sur le circuit tracé en pleine ville, 20 concurrents prennent le départ du classique Grand Prix automobile. Les premiers kilomètres sont couverts à toute allure. Jusqu'au virage du bureau de tabac, où, sur un dérapage de farina, 9 voitures s'emboîtent littéralement les unes dans les autres. Plus de peur que de mal, mais 11 pilotes seulement restent en course à la fin du premier tour. L'Argentin Fangio prend sur cet incident une avance considérable. Et c'est en vain que Villoresi d'abord, Ascari ensuite, se lanceront à sa poursuite. Ils se rapprocheront jusqu'à 32 secondes, mais Fangio gagne en grand champion à 98 km 700 de moyenne, devant Ascari, Louis Chiron et Raymond Sommer.
A country road in Belgium, winding peacefully through the hills of the Ardennes forest. But from time to time, his peaceful life is ripped apart, and the road is now being got ready for different and exciting things. Yes, we are on the Francorchamps National Circuit, near the town of Spa. 9 miles of ordinary country roads form a triangle that is one of the finest and fastest motor racing circuits in Europe. At the apex of the triangle, the hairpin of La Source and the start of the circuit. To the right, the curve at Bernonville, then Malmedy Corner and the fast Master Straight. At the foot, Stavelot Corner, and finally, past La Carrière and Blanchimont, the difficult climb to La Source and back to the grandstands again. This is the view of the start from the top of the Raidillon with the S-bend of Eau Rouge. The Raidillon is a steeply climbing right-hand bend, finishing in a hump back which sends cars leaping from the ground. At the top of a wooded hill, this sharp left-hander swings into the rapid drop to the footbridge at Bernonville and its fast right-hand curve. An easier stretch, and we are at Malmedy. The tyre marks burnt into the road surface show the line cutting the corner, but the blind approach makes it tricky to negotiate. On the downhill Master Straight, speeds of over 180 miles an hour are reached, before braking for Hollowell and Stavelot corners, which are taken together as one continuous sweep. The banking at Stavelot makes it a high-speed corner. Now for the winding uphill return run, easy enough until the wooded corner at La Carrière, which the experts whip through at almost full throttle. But there is a ditch to catch a misjudged exit. After that, it's the masked corner at Blanchimont and its menacing post number 9. Then it's only a few hundred yards to the hairpin of La Source, where it's bottom gear and about 30 miles an hour for even the most experienced. The end of the 9-mile lap covered 36 times in the race in under 3 hours. The third and last day for practice, the day before the Grand Prix. Fierce competition is expected, for yesterday Castellotti in a Lancia broke all records by lapping at nearly 123 miles an hour, faster than the favourite Fangio in a Mercedes. Then the weather breaks, rain beats down. But the practice must go on, though now there's little chance of new records for Fangio, Moss or Farina, the chief opponents of Castellotti. Wet work for the mechanics of the 3 Ferraris. And there's the single Lancia, officially entered by Castellotti himself. Only one Van Wall, too, carrying all the British hopes. The 3 Mercedes entered for the race are odds-on favourites. 4 Maseratis are entered by the works, as well as the famous blue car of Louis Rosier. The road is clear and Eugenio Castellotti starts the wheels rolling. Sterling Moss is in the Mercedes training car, carrying the letter T. Nino Farina is away in his Ferrari. In this weather, nearly 5 minutes to do a lap. Castellotti should be round again soon. And here he is, spinning up a fountain of water behind him. It's his first appearance at Francorchamps, and his performance is better than anyone dreamt. Here's Moss again, and a signal from team manager Neubauer to stop next time round. Tomorrow, this 9-mile lap will be covered 36 times, a distance of about 320 miles. And now, Paul Frère, the popular Belgian journalist and driver, is ready for the getaway in his works Ferrari. A glance to check that the road is clear, and he's off. Pandemonium, a moment's flap while a wandering dog is chased off. Order restored, and the commanding figure of Neubauer signals Sterling Moss in to switch to the car he will drive in the race. There goes Rosier's Maserati, and Castellotti again. Fangio does a lap in the training Merc. "5 o'clock, and the last practice is over. Uhlenhaut, Mercedes engineer and reserve driver, slows up at his pit, where Karl Kling joins him. No smiles from Monsieur Bakken and Monsieur de Harley, president and secretary of the organizing committee. If it rains at all in these parts, say the locals, it rains for a solid week. In the gloom, the cars motor back to their garages, almost unnoticed. But the mechanics are going to be busy for hours ahead. And the few remaining spectators splash home, hoping, but not very hopefully, that tomorrow will be fine. And so it is. The morning of Sunday the 5th of June is bright and clear. The 13 cars are being given their last tune-up out in the sunshine. At Spa, Mike Hawthorne's Van Wall is breathed over by its British mechanics. The Maserati stable has entered 4 cars, whose drivers are Padisa, Musso, Mieres, and the great Frenchman Jean Vera, here with his compatriot Rosier. Sterling Moss had promised his private Maserati to the Belgian Johnny Klaas, but no amount of advice is going to get it on the road for this afternoon. In a garage at Stavelot, the new Squalo Ferraris get their final spit and polish. The team drivers are Tronsignan, Frère, and the veteran Nino Farina, the doctor. The obliquely set engine and outboard tanks are the distinguishing features of Castellotti's Lancia. In the Mercedes camp, the air is charged with confidence. Fangio, Moss, and Kling have a superb technical service to back them, and an aristocrat of a car. Midday and 3 hours to go. Time now to get the 13 cars down to the circuit. Lancia and the Maseratis are lined up in front of their pits. Already the grandstands are beginning to fill. At the clubhouse of the Royal Automobile Club of Spa, there's a brisk trade in aperitifs. Monsieur de Keyser, president of the Belgian national team, arrives. Monsieur Sven, course administrator, and Monsieur Vos, president of the club. Jacques Soiters, Belgian driver, on the right there. Mercedes engineer Uhlenhout looks confident, but then so does Paul Frère with Gilbert Thirion, also a Belgian racing driver. Trintignant, Ferrari driver, and Ugolini, team manager, radiate optimism too. Under that check cap is Jean Barra. Mike Hawthorne chats with Louis Rosier and disturbs Nino Farina's catnap. Fangio and Mares fans pull out the stops to whip up support. And now it's time for the cars to be pushed out to the starting grid. Best places for the fastest cars during practice. Moss, Fangio and Castellotti share the front row. Now Sterling Moss puts on his spare goggles, watched by Madame Fangio. Castellotti is all set. On the grid, the Mercedes starters are ready. The moment is near. The drivers walk out to the grid. By tradition, the briefing is on the track itself. Rennie Backham, president of the sporting committee of the RAC of Belgium, addresses the drivers. Five minutes to go. The drivers climb into their seats. Moss's car is 14, Fangio's 10, and Castellotti's 30. In the second row, Barra and Farina. At Ridillon, Fangio is in the lead in front of Castellotti and Moss in third place. And then the field. Musso in his Maserati got off to a bad start and is 13th. Vernonville, 2.5 miles on. Fangio has the lead still, but Moss has taken second position from Castellotti in front of Kling, Barra and Farina. Then Hawthorne, Trintignant, Mares, Pediza, Rosier and Musso. Master, always Fangio in front of Moss and Castellotti. But Farina has passed Barra. Hollowell corner. The speed is fantastic. Fangio is first into Stavilo. Moss follows, and the rest come scorching behind. At the beginning of the return ascent, Fangio is on his own in front, but Sterling Moss isn't far behind. La Carrière, first Fangio, second Moss. Castellotti's Lancer is third, fourth Kling, fifth Farina, then Berra sixth. The Mercedes leaders at La Source. Fangio brakes and corners perfectly, but Moss is right there breathing down his neck. After Castellotti, the pack, with Kling and Farina still fighting it out. First lap by Fangio in 4 minutes 36 seconds, 115 miles an hour. Second time up the Ridillon. Fangio in front of Moss. Farina has seized fourth place from Kling's Mercedes. Farina hammers away. At La Carrière, the Ferrari is coming up behind Castellotti. Kling, Berra and Frère are struggling for fifth position. The hairpin at La Source again. From over 100 miles an hour down to below 30 in a few yards. This corner is a classic test of driving skill. For the third time. Fangio, whose last lap was over 120 miles an hour, is 5 seconds in front of Moss. Castellotti is pressed by Farina. And the third Merc still leads the scrap for fifth place. Now Musso has passed Hawthorne's Van Wall. End of lap 3. Still the two Mercedes with the upper hand. Then come Castellotti, Farina, Kling, Berra and Frère. A car slows down and stops at the Ferrari pit. It is Maurice Trintignant, and something's wrong. Off with the cowl and check plugs, while Trintignant tensely counts the seconds. The Belgian, Paul Frère, is driving magnificently. But Berra is still in front of him. Look out! And Berra's out of the race. Meanwhile, Farina slips in front of Castellotti at the hairpin. But by the Ridillon, the Lancia is back in third position. Trintignant's in the race again, but exactly 1 lap behind his previous position. He slows down at Eau Rouge for Frère, who has passed Kling and is now lying fifth. Signal to Castellotti that Berra is out of the race. But is he? Miraculously uninjured from his accident, he comes back to the pits on foot. He's a bit shaken, but remarkably unruffled by the crash. He's putting on his helmet again. It looks as if he's going to take over one of the other Maseratis. Yes, at the pits, the Argentinian Mieres is pulled in. Berra's going to drive number 24. And there he goes. For Mieres, the race is over. Fangio passes the wreck of Berra's car at the end of the 7th lap. His average speed so far is 119 miles an hour. Moss remains only 5 seconds behind him. With Berra's original car out of the running, the duel between Frère and Kling is joined by late starter Musso. At La Source, Frère, Ferrari, Kling, Mercedes, Musso, Maserati. Now Kling puts on a spurt and passes the Belgian driver. On the 8th lap, Musso forces and overtakes both Frère and Kling. The cars are airborne at the summit of the Ridillon. After 80 miles of brilliant driving, Musso has overtaken 8 cars. Paul Frere's back to 7th place. End of lap 9. Hawthorne's van wall has been losing oil and has stopped at the pits. It's a broken oil pipe and nothing can be done about it. The British team have to take the melancholy decision to abandon the race. Rosier is in 10th position, and Fangio, just about to lap him, has put up the fastest lap time ever of 4 minutes 22 seconds, nearly 121 miles an hour. "40 seconds behind comes Castellotti, with Farina 4 seconds later. Musso and Kling, still in front of Paul Frere, are more than a minute behind the leader. By a piece of fine driving, Kling passes Musso at Malmedy. But on the 13th lap, the Maserati is once again the leader of this private race. Fangio is keeping up a fantastic average speed, now over 120 miles an hour. And as always, Moss is right there behind him. Fangio accelerates again. The 15th lap is covered in 4 minutes 20 and 8/10 seconds, with Moss now 13 seconds later. Castellotti is 50 seconds behind Fangio. But it's not Castellotti, it's Farina passing. Nino Farina is third. Castellotti must be in trouble. News comes to the pits that Castellotti has retired at Malmedy with gearbox trouble. So now Kling and Musso are fighting for 4th place, driving almost wheel to wheel and drawing a little nearer to Farina each time round. The halfway mark, and a new lap record for Fangio. 4 minutes 20 and 6/10 seconds, 121.9 miles an hour. Moss gets a pit signal to maintain his speed. And here's Musso once more in front of Kling. Farina's lead on this pair is down to 3 seconds. On lap 19, Kling takes the lead again, but Musso is slowing down, and he stops at his pit. Paul Frere goes through into 5th place. Musso is still at the pits. It seems to be plug trouble. The seconds tick by, but at last he's away. One lap later, the Maserati's in again. This time it's not plugs, it's a broken rocker arm. Only 5 cylinders of his engine will work now, and it'll be a minute or two before he rejoins the race. There goes Berra into 6th position. In the lead, Fangio demonstrates his mastery of the Mercedes. In spite of the increase in average speed, Moss is still close to his teammate. As they pass the pits at the end of the 22nd lap, Neubauer signals his orders to Moss. Carl Kling is still 4th, but not for long. He too has to stop at the pits. Bad luck after the performance he put up in his fight with Musso. The technicians confer without much hope. An oil union has broken and there's no chance of going on. So now we have Fangio, Moss, Farina and Paul Frere. Belgians could not have hoped for more. Paul Frère in a works Ferrari is fourth. For some, it's now time to relax and enjoy the scenery. But for the more wide-awake spectators, there is still fine driving to watch. Speeds are reduced a little now, for the road is getting slippery with rubber and oil left by the cars. But there goes Fangio again, still driving a hard race. In their glass box, Commandant Lameau and his timekeepers check the passage of each car and calculate the average speeds. This race is creating a new set of records, all over 119 miles an hour. The Mercedes procession continues. Moss has come up to within 7 seconds of the leader. Yellow and blue flags shown at the Ferrari pit indicate to Farina and Frère, third and fourth, that it is enough to maintain their speed without pressing. 1 lap behind comes Jean Vera, fifth, Musso sixth, and Trintignant seventh. 2 laps behind the leaders come the Maseratis of Padisa 8th and Rosier 9th. These 2 cars have not been parted throughout the race. Only 6 laps to go. Nothing to report in the past half hour. But you wouldn't think so, watching the Argentinian commentator broadcasting to Fangio's supporters in South America. He started talking nearly 3 hours ago, and the marathon has another half hour to run. At Master, Trintignant steals the 6th position from the 5-cylindered Musso. 19 miles from the finish, Musso has to concede a 2nd lap to Fangio. The last lap. Trintignant guns his Ferrari and avoids being overtaken by the leader for the 2nd time. For Neubauer, the race is over, and won. Over 300 miles of superlative driving behind them, the Mercedes pair press on to victory. And Monsieur Becken's checkered flag puts the seal on Fangio's win. And there he goes on his tour d'honneur. 8 seconds later, and it's Sterling Moss in 2nd place. And while the other cars are stopped at the pits, the 2 Mercedes take their bow around the circuit. The dogged effort of Nino Farina has brought Ferraris a splendid 3rd. Paul Frère is 4th, the best Belgian performance for years. Neubauer prepares to welcome the victors. On the rostrum, Prince Amaury de Marod, president of the Royal Automobile Club of Belgium, offers the traditional bouquet to the champion. Now the Challenge Cup for Fangio, the crown of an unforgettable day and of a Belgian Grand Prix high in the tradition of the great Francorchamps circuit.
Nurburgring in Germany. This is the 3rd round in the duel between the Mercedes and the Ferraris. At Reims, Mercedes won the day. At Silverstone, the Ferraris took top honours. So the Grand Prix is almost a matter of national prestige now. The race is of 22 laps, totaling 312 miles. Hans Hermann drives the enclosed Mercedes. The team's other cars, including number 18 with Fangio at the wheel and 19 driven by Karl Kling, have been fitted with more conventional bodies since the defeat at Silverstone. Quickly in the lead, Fangio sets the pace. Teammate Hermann Lang is not far away. Kling is there. So is Gonzalez, number 1 in his Ferrari. The Mercedes hang on to their lead. 18 and 19, Fangio and Kling, flash past almost together. The halfway stage now, and it looks like a German victory. But Gonzalez is retiring. He's far from well and still very upset by the death of his countryman Merriman, who was killed while practicing for the race. But England's Mike Hawthorne, whose own car has developed engine trouble, takes over the Ferrari. Now the Mercedes are in trouble. Kling is flagged into the pits. There's something wrong with the back axle. While mechanics work like demons, Alfred Neubauer, the German team manager, loses his temper with hordes of onlookers crowding round the pits. But seconds later, Kling is away again. Fangio's on the last lap, but he dare not relax. Hawthorne and Trentino are not far away. Fangio hangs grimly onto his lead, and in he comes to snatch victory in the Grand Prix. Hawthorne is second, Trentino third. So the Mercedes have beaten the Ferraris again, but only just. Fangio, mobbed by an almost fanatical crowd, is congratulated by Federal President Heuss. Soon in Bern, the rival cars will meet again. But for the time being, Fangio's wife can only weep with joy.
Greatest sports car event of the year, the Le Mans 24-hour race opens in brilliant sunshine. None of the quarter-million crowd suspect the tragedy that lies ahead. The 60 starters are in their stride, thundering away to gain that early lead, which can mean so much in a mass start race such as this. Favourites among the big machines are the Mercedes team, led by Fangio, with Sterling Moss, Karl Kling and Pierre Levay. But the fans' eyes are also on Mike Hawthorne, Tony Roach and the other Jaguar drivers. Fangio's Mercedes is well away, and the smaller machines are battling for supremacy in their own categories. The leaders streak past the grandstand after the early laps with Mercedes, Jaguars and Ferraris well to the fore. Into the pits comes Reg Parnell's Lagonda while the field roars on. Peter Collins' Aston Martin, number 23, is among the British cars which are holding their own. Now Parnell's away again. All seems to be going smoothly when disaster strikes at 125 miles an hour. Levay's Mercedes collides and blows up. In a few ghastly seconds, death wipes out whole families. Levay is killed before his wife's eyes, and some 70 spectators with him. Among the bodies, frantic survivors seek their friends. The Mercedes was made partly of magnesium alloy, which blazes like a furnace. Lance Macklin's Austin Healey, hit by the doomed car before it crashed, is wrecked, but miraculously Macklin is unhurt. While firemen fight the blaze, the race goes on. Most of the vast crowd know nothing of the tragedy. Track marshals flag down drivers as they pass the Holocaust. Doctors, priests, uninjured survivors do their best. But 79 men, women and children are dead or dying in the worst disaster in motor racing history. The Mercedes team with a strong chance of victory withdrew from the race, and Mike Hawthorne's Jaguar wins by 5 laps. 13 of the finishers are British cars. A fine achievement overshadowed by an appalling tragedy.
Its greatest drivers gather for the major event of the Daily Express Silverstone meeting, the British Grand Prix. 303 miles over 101 laps, with the result counting towards the World Championship. For the first 15 laps, the lead is held by Mike Hawthorne in BRM number 23. Sterling Moss in a Works Maserati is keeping up well among the leaders, and so is his teammate Jean Behra. Only 2 points separate them in the contest for the world title. Top of the list by a clear 5 points is Peter Collins. He's driving a Ferrari today, number 2. The crowd rush forward as Tony Brooks has a narrow escape when his BRM crashes. But he gets away with slight concussion and a broken jaw. Now Fangio's leading with Collins chasing him. But reigning champion Juan Fangio holds his Ferrari in front like the master he is and wins handsomely. Fangio's wife is here to congratulate him on a victory which has improved his chance of retaining the world title. But in his moment of triumph, he doesn't forget to say, hard luck, Sterling.
The European Grand Prix at Monza is more than a motor racing classic. It's the last of the year to count towards the World Racing Championship. Juan Fangio of Argentina holds the title, and he's a good chance of retaining it. There's only one man who can still take it from him, his Ferrari teammate, Peter Collins. As breakdowns thin out the competition, Fangio and Collins, Stirling Moss and Ron Flockhart are all doing well. Harry Schell's Van Wall leads a bunch of cars into a bend of the complex course. Suddenly a bombshell for the watching fans. Fangio's steering has broken down. But Peter Collins, lying third, makes a sacrifice which will go down in racing history. He hands over his own car to Fangio to give him a chance of retaining the world title. So Fangio streaks after the leaders. He can't catch Moss, but to remain champion, all he needs is a place. Moss wins the race, a splendid victory to crown a brilliant year's driving. For Stirling Moss, a double success. Winner of the European Grand Prix and runner-up for the world title. At the tortuous Nurburgring, Germany's classic racing circuit, Stirling Moss, Peter Collins and Juan Fangio are among the top drivers racing in the German Grand Prix. Moss and Tony Brooks are in British Van Walls, Collins and Hawthorne in Ferraris, and world champion Fangio in a Maserati. Round the first bend, it's Hawthorne, Collins, Fangio, but the middle of the third lap finds Fangio in the lead. Mile by mile, the cars are thinning out, and very soon Fangio's lapping the field. Then he stops to change rear wheels and refuel. He's built up a useful lead, but the Ferraris of Hawthorne and Collins can complete the race without refueling. So Fangio's giving away precious seconds. Only a man like this incredible Argentinian could hope to overcome such a handicap. Hawthorne's leading now and driving magnificently, with Collins on his tail. But Fangio's there too, breaking the lap record time and again. And he takes the lead in the nick of time. He streaks for the line 150 yards ahead of Hawthorne. Experts declare it's Fangio's finest race. Twice the age of his nearest rivals, he's still the world's greatest driver.
Cuba beckons to the sports world with a carnival featuring here its second Grand Prix for racing drivers. Premier attraction in car number 2 is Juan Manuel Fangio of Argentina, 4 times world champion. In the trial run, he makes the fastest time, and all await the finals. But Fangio, here shown away from the track, is suddenly to disappear. Kidnapped at pistol point by Cuban rebels, obviously seeking to embarrass President Batista's government by making sure the star attraction is not on the starting line for the big race. Fangio is released, but he can't ride in the event he was favored to win. Instead, tragedy stalks Havana's beautiful Malecon circuit. The start had been delayed with the hope Fangio would show up. Now, 27 drivers representing 12 nations have completed a half hour of driving. Suddenly, disaster! Skidding into the crowd at 100 miles an hour, one of the cars mows down dozens of spectators. The driver, Armando Garcia Cifuentes, is dragged from the wreckage with serious injuries. 6 deaths and 32 others injured are counted in the crash, which cancels the race and all its sporting luster.